Today our topic is how to manage anger like a Stoic. Anger is a powerful emotion. It can make us say things we don't mean, do things we regret, and hurt people we care about. But anger is also a natural part of being human. Everyone feels angry sometimes. The question is, how can we manage anger in a way that doesn't control us or harm others? The ancient Stoic philosophers had some very useful ideas about this. They believed that anger is not just an emotion, but a choice. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. This is the key to managing anger like a Stoic. Let's explore how we can do this step by step. First, let's understand what anger really is. Anger is often a reaction to something we think is unfair or wrong. Maybe someone insults us, or things don't go the way we planned. When this happens, our first instinct is to react quickly, often without thinking. But the Stoics teach us to pause. They say that between what happens to us and our reaction, there is a small space. In that space, we have the power to choose how we respond. This is where we can start to manage our anger. Instead of reacting immediately, take a moment to breathe and think. Ask yourself, is this worth getting angry about? Will getting angry solve the problem or make it worse? Often, when we take this pause, we realize that anger is not the best choice. Next, the Stoics remind us that we cannot control everything. Many things in life are outside our control. Other people's actions, the weather, traffic, or unexpected events, these are things we cannot change. But we can control how we think about them. For example, if someone is rude to us, we can't control their behavior, but we can control how we interpret it. Maybe they are having a bad day, or maybe they don't realize how their words affect us. Instead of seeing their actions as a personal attack, we can choose to see them as a reflection of their own struggles. This shift in perspective can help us feel less angry. The Stoics call this changing our judgments. By changing how we think about a situation, we can change how we feel about it. Another important Stoic idea is to focus on what is within our control. When we feel angry, it's often because we are focusing on things we can't change. This makes us feel powerless and frustrated. But if we shift our attention to what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and decisions, we feel more empowered. For example, if someone cuts us off in traffic, we can't control their driving, but we can control how we react. We can choose to stay calm, focus on our own driving, and let go of the need to punish or blame them. This doesn't mean we ignore the problem. It means we respond in a way that is constructive rather than destructive. The Stoics also teach us to practice gratitude. When we are angry, it's easy to focus on what's wrong in our lives. But if we take a moment to think about what we are grateful for, it can help us feel calmer and more balanced. For example, if we are angry because our boss criticized our work, we can remind ourselves that we have a job, that we are learning and growing, and that we have the ability to improve. Gratitude doesn't mean we ignore our problems. It means we put them in perspective. When we remember the good things in our lives, it's harder to stay angry for long. Another Stoic technique is to imagine the worst-case scenario. This might sound strange, but it can actually help us manage anger. When we are angry, we often imagine that the situation is worse than it really is. But if we take a moment to think about the worst possible outcome, we might realize that it's not as bad as we thought. For example, if we are angry because we lost an important contract at work, we can ask ourselves, what's the worst that could happen? Maybe we will have to work harder to find new clients, or maybe we'll lose some money. But will this destroy our lives? Probably not. By facing our fears and realizing that we can handle the worst-case scenario, we feel less overwhelmed and less angry. The Stoics also remind us that anger is often a sign of weakness, not strength. When we lose our temper, we give away our power. We let other people or events control us. But when we stay calm, we show that we are in control of ourselves. This doesn't mean we never stand up for ourselves or set boundaries. It means we do so with clarity and purpose, not with rage. For example, if someone is treating us unfairly, we can calmly explain how we feel and what we need, rather than yelling or lashing out. This approach is more likely to lead to a positive outcome. Another important Stoic practice is to reflect on our anger at the end of the day. Before we go to sleep, we can take a few minutes to think about our day and ask ourselves, did I handle my anger well? Did I react in a way that I'm proud of? If not, what could I have done differently? This reflection helps us learn from our mistakes and improve over time. It also helps us become more aware of our triggers, the things that make us angry, so we can prepare for them in the future. Finally, the Stoics remind us that life is short. We don't have time to waste on anger and resentment. Every moment we spend being angry is a moment we could have spent being happy, productive, or kind. When we remember how precious life is, it's easier to let go of anger and focus on what truly matters. This doesn't mean we never feel angry. It means we don't let anger control us. In conclusion, managing anger like a Stoic is about taking control of our thoughts and reactions, about pausing before we act, changing our judgments, focusing on what we can control, practicing gratitude, imagining the worst-case scenario, staying calm, reflecting on our actions, and remembering the value of life. On the value of life. These practices take time and effort, but they can help us live more peacefully and happily. Anger is a natural emotion, but it doesn't have to rule us. By following the wisdom of the Stoics, we can learn to manage anger in a way that makes us stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. So the next time you feel angry, remember, you have the power to choose how you respond. Choose wisely,